The Stoic secrets that make you fearless. Stoicism philosophy. One morning, a man stood outside a door he had been afraid to open for years. Behind that door was everything he had been avoiding: rejection, uncertainty, failure, and the possibility of discovering that he was not as strong as he believed. His hands trembled. His heart raced. Then he remembered something that changed his life. Courage does not mean feeling no fear. Courage means refusing to let fear make your decisions. He opened the door. Nothing magical happened. The world did not suddenly become easier. But something inside him changed. For the first time, he understood that the thing he had feared was never as powerful as the control he had given it. That is where true fearlessness begins. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going deep into the ancient wisdom of Stoicism and discovering the powerful principles that can help you become calmer, stronger, and less controlled by fear. And stay until the end, because one of the most important Stoic ideas about fear is also one of the simplest. You don't need to control the world to become fearless. You need to stop surrendering your mind to what you cannot control. If you are serious about building a stronger mind, developing emotional discipline, and becoming the kind of person who remains steady when life becomes difficult, subscribe to the channel now. This channel is dedicated to timeless Stoic wisdom and practical lessons that can help you become stronger from the inside out. Fear is one of the most powerful forces in human life. It can make an intelligent person make foolish decisions. It can make a confident person remain silent. It can make someone stay in a situation they have outgrown simply because the unknown feels more frightening than the familiar. Fear can convince you that failure is the end. It can convince you that rejection means you are worthless. It can convince you that someone's opinion determines your value. It can convince you that uncertainty is something you must escape. But the Stoics looked at fear differently. They understood that many of the things we fear are not happening right now. They exist in our imagination. We create a future in our minds, fill it with disasters, and then experience emotional pain over events that may never happen. This is one of the first secrets of Stoic fearlessness. Stop suffering twice. Do not suffer through an imagined future before reality has even arrived. Perhaps you are afraid that someone will reject you. Perhaps you are afraid that your business will fail. Perhaps you are afraid that people will judge you. Perhaps you are afraid of losing someone you love. Perhaps you are afraid that you are running out of time. The Stoic question is not, how do I guarantee that none of these things happen? The Stoic question is, if this happens, how will I respond? That question changes everything. Because suddenly your attention moves away from controlling the future and towards strengthening yourself. You cannot guarantee that people will respect you. But you can become someone who respects himself. You cannot guarantee that everyone will love you. But you can learn to live without begging for approval. You cannot guarantee success. But you can become disciplined enough to keep moving after failure. You cannot control everything that happens. But you can train yourself to control your response. And that is where fear begins to lose its power. The Stoics understood something that modern life often makes us forget. Your mind becomes stronger when you repeatedly prove to yourself that you can handle difficulty. Think about the moments in your life when you thought you could not survive something. Maybe someone left you. Maybe you lost an opportunity. Maybe you were betrayed. Maybe you failed at something important. Maybe you experienced a period when you did not know what your future would look like. At the time, you probably thought the pain would consume you. But you survived. You are still here. And that means something. You have already survived moments that your former self believed would destroy you. So why should you assume that the next difficult chapter will be different? The future may challenge you. It may disappoint you. It may force you to begin again. But you are not the same person who entered your previous battles. You have learned. You have experienced. You have endured. And you can become even stronger. This is why the Stoic does not spend his entire life asking, how can I avoid every painful experience? He asks, how can I become strong enough to face whatever comes? That is a completely different philosophy. Most people want a comfortable life so they can feel strong. The Stoic tries to become strong so that comfort is no longer required for peace. There is a profound difference. If your confidence depends on everything going according to plan, your confidence is fragile. If your peace depends on everyone treating you well, your peace is fragile. If your happiness depends on receiving constant approval, your happiness is fragile. But when you build your character around discipline, wisdom, courage, and self-control, something changes. You become harder to destroy. Not because life becomes easier, because you become stronger. One of the greatest Stoic secrets is learning to separate what is within your control from what is outside your control. This sounds simple. But if you genuinely practice it, it can transform your life. Your actions are yours. Your choices are yours. Your effort is yours. Your attitude is yours. Your preparation is yours. Your discipline is yours. But other people's opinions are not yours. Other people's decisions are not yours. The past is not yours. The weather is not yours. The outcome of every attempt is not yours. The passage of time is not yours. And the future is not entirely yours. Yet many people spend their entire lives fighting for control over things they can never control. They become exhausted. They become anxious. They become resentful. They become afraid. The Stoic steps back and asks, "Is this mine to control?" If the answer is yes, act. If the answer is no, release. Imagine how much mental energy you would recover if you stopped trying to control everyone's perception of you. Imagine how peaceful you could become if you stopped replaying conversations you cannot change. Imagine how much confidence you could build if you stopped waiting for everyone's permission to pursue your goals. You would still experience fear. But fear would no longer be your master. That is the goal. Stoicism does not promise that you will never feel fear. It teaches you that you do not have to obey every emotion you feel. Fear can knock on the door. You don't have to invite it inside. Anger can appear. You don't have to act from it. Doubt can whisper. You don't have to believe it. Anxiety can rise. You don't have to surrender your decisions to it. This is emotional discipline. And emotional discipline is one of the foundations of fearlessness. There is another Stoic secret that many people overlook. You become less afraid of losing things when you stop believing that everything belongs to you permanently. People change. Circumstances change. Money comes and goes. Opportunities appear and disappear. Your body changes. Your career changes. Relationships change. Even life itself is temporary. The Stoics did not focus on this because they wanted to be pessimistic. They focused on impermanence because awareness of impermanence teaches appreciation. When you understand that something is temporary, you stop taking it for granted. You appreciate the people you love while they are here. You use your opportunities while they exist. You stop assuming that tomorrow is guaranteed. And strangely, accepting impermanence can make you less afraid. Why? Because you stop demanding permanence from a world that was never designed to provide it. You stop saying, "This must never change." Instead, you say, "While I have it, I will appreciate it. If it changes, I will adapt." That is strength. Fear often comes from demanding certainty from an uncertain world. But the world does not owe you certainty. The future does not owe you comfort. Other people do not owe you loyalty. Life does not owe you fairness. And yet you can still choose to live with courage. The Stoic does not need life to make promises. He makes a promise to himself. Whatever happens, I will meet it with character. That is a powerful commitment. Because now your confidence is no longer based on predicting the future. It is based on trusting yourself. You begin to realize, if I succeed, I will remain humble. If I fail, I will learn. If I am rejected, I will continue. If I am criticized, I will examine the criticism and discard what is useless. If someone leaves, I will grieve, but I will not abandon myself. If life becomes difficult, I will become more disciplined. This is how fearlessness is built. Not in one dramatic moment, but through thousands of small decisions. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen yourself. Every time you tell the truth when lying would be easier, you strengthen yourself. Every time you remain calm instead of reacting emotionally, you strengthen yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen yourself. Every time you face something uncomfortable instead of running away, you strengthen yourself. Your character is built through repetition. And eventually you become someone you can trust. That is one of the greatest forms of confidence. Not confidence that says, nothing bad will happen, but confidence that says, whatever happens, I will not abandon myself. Think about how powerful that would feel. Imagine walking into a difficult conversation knowing that you do not need to control the other person's reaction. Imagine pursuing your dream knowing that failure cannot take your dignity away. Imagine being criticized without immediately becoming defensive. Imagine being rejected without begging for acceptance. Imagine losing something valuable without losing yourself. That is Stoic strength. And it begins with understanding that your worth is not determined by external events. A person can lose money and remain honorable. A person can lose status and remain wise. A person can lose popularity and remain authentic. A person can experience failure and remain courageous. External circumstances can change your situation. They do not have to determine your character. This is why the Stoics placed such enormous value on virtue. They understood that a meaningful life is not built by collecting things that can disappear. It is built by becoming someone worthy of respect. And that raises an important question. Who are you becoming when nobody is watching? Because fearlessness is not about looking strong in public. It is about developing an inner strength that does not require an audience. You don't need to announce your discipline. Practice it. You don't need to tell everyone that you are strong. Become strong. You don't need to convince people that you are confident. Build a life that gives you reasons to trust yourself. Quiet strength is still strength. Sometimes the strongest person in the room is the one who does not need to prove anything. The Stoics understood the danger of living for applause. If your identity depends on approval, you become controlled by whoever gives or withholds it. One compliment can make you feel powerful. One insult can destroy your mood. One social media comment can ruin your day. One person's rejection can make you question your entire identity. That is not freedom. The Stoic seeks freedom from this emotional dependence. He asks, would I still do what is right if nobody praised me for it? That question reveals your character. Because true courage does not always receive applause. Sometimes courage looks like walking away quietly. Sometimes courage means admitting you were wrong. Sometimes courage means starting over. Sometimes courage means saying no. Sometimes courage means staying silent. Sometimes courage means speaking when silence would be easier. Sometimes courage means choosing long-term growth over short-term pleasure. And sometimes courage simply means getting out of bed and continuing when life feels heavy. Never underestimate ordinary courage. Your life is shaped by ordinary moments. The way you respond to frustration. The way you speak to people. The way you handle temptation. The way you react when plans fail. The way you behave when nobody can reward you. These moments reveal your philosophy more clearly than words ever could. Another Stoic secret is the practice of negative visualization. This does not mean becoming obsessed with terrible possibilities. It means occasionally imagining that the things you currently have are not guaranteed. Imagine waking up tomorrow without some convenience you take for granted. Imagine losing an opportunity. Imagine having to start again. Imagine being separated from something you deeply value. The purpose is not to frighten yourself. The purpose is to awaken gratitude and reduce attachment. When you appreciate what you have, you stop living as though you are entitled to it forever. And when you stop believing that everything must remain exactly as it is, change becomes less terrifying. You become adaptable. And adaptability is a form of fearlessness. The person who says, "My life must always look like this," is vulnerable to fear. The person who says, "I will build a good life with whatever circumstances I face," possesses much greater freedom. Life may change your plans. It cannot force you to surrender your principles. That distinction is everything. There will be days when you feel weak. Do not panic. Strength does not mean feeling powerful every day. Some days, courage means continuing while feeling uncertain. Some days, courage means resting instead of pretending. Some days, courage means asking for help. Some days, courage means admitting that something hurts. Stoicism is not emotional suppression. It is emotional mastery. You are allowed to feel. You simply refuse to allow every feeling to become a command. That is maturity. Fear says, run. Wisdom asks, should I? Anger says, attack. Wisdom asks, will this improve the situation? Pride says, prove yourself. Wisdom asks, do you actually need to? Anxiety says, control everything. Wisdom says, focus on what is yours. This internal conversation is where your transformation happens. The world may never become completely predictable. People may still disappoint you. Plans may still collapse. Unexpected problems may still appear. But your relationship with these events can change. And when your relationship with adversity changes, your life changes. You begin to see obstacles differently. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You ask, what is this asking me to become? That question turns adversity into training. A difficult person can teach patience. A failure can teach humility. A rejection can teach resilience. A delay can teach patience. A mistake can teach responsibility. A loss can teach appreciation. An uncertain season can teach you to trust your principles instead of your circumstances. This does not mean every painful event is secretly good. Pain is still pain. Loss is still loss. But you can choose what you do with the experience. That choice remains yours. And perhaps that is the deepest Stoic secret of all. You do not need to control what happens to you to control who you become because of it. So the next time fear appears, do not immediately run. Pause. Breathe. Ask yourself what exactly you are afraid of. Then ask whether it is within your control. If it is, take action. If it is not, release the struggle. Then ask the most important question. What would courage look like right now? Maybe courage means making the phone call. Maybe courage means starting the project. Maybe courage means ending something unhealthy. Maybe courage means apologizing. Maybe courage means forgiving. Maybe courage means walking away. Maybe courage means trying again. You don't have to feel fearless before you act. Acting with courage is how you become fearless. Every time you face discomfort without surrendering your principles, your fear loses a little power. And every time you surrender to fear, it becomes a little easier to surrender again. So choose carefully. You are training yourself every day. Your habits are teaching your mind what to expect from you. If you constantly run from difficulty, your mind learns. Difficulty is dangerous. If you repeatedly face difficulty with discipline, your mind learns. I can handle this. That is why small acts of courage matter. Take the difficult conversation. Do the work. Keep your promise. Say no when necessary. Put down the phone. Stop chasing approval. Get comfortable with silence. Spend time alone. Read. Reflect. Exercise your discipline. Do something difficult without announcing it. Then do it again tomorrow. You are building evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of fearlessness. There will come a day when you look back and realize something extraordinary. The things that once controlled you no longer control you. You no longer need everyone to like you. You no longer need every plan to work. You no longer need constant reassurance. You no longer collapse when someone disagrees with you. You no longer panic every time life changes direction. You still care. You still love. You still experience pain. But you are no longer fragile. You have developed an inner center. And when the world becomes chaotic, you return to it. That is the Stoic path. Not becoming cold. Not becoming emotionless. Not becoming detached from life. Becoming grounded enough to participate fully in life without being destroyed by every change within it. So remember this when you leave this video. You do not become fearless by eliminating fear. You become fearless by discovering that fear does not have authority over your choices. You become fearless when you realize that rejection cannot define you. Failure cannot erase your worth. Criticism cannot control your identity. Uncertainty cannot prevent you from acting. Loss cannot take away everything that matters. And difficult circumstances cannot decide the kind of person you will become. You still have a choice. Every morning, every conversation, every setback, every temptation, every difficult moment, you get another opportunity to practice courage. So stop waiting for the perfect moment when fear disappears. That moment may never come. Move while your hands shake. Speak while your voice is uncertain. Begin while you still have doubts. Continue while the results are invisible. And stand firm when the world tries to convince you that you are not capable. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing your values while fear is present. That is what the Stoics understood. And that is what you can practice today. Before you leave, remember one final principle. Control your mind. Accept what you cannot control. Strengthen your character. Face reality. Do what is right. Do that repeatedly, and you will discover that fear begins to shrink. Not because the world became less dangerous, but because you became stronger. If this message gave you something to think about, subscribe to the channel and join this community of people committed to becoming stronger, calmer, wiser, and more disciplined. Turn on notifications so you don't miss the next lesson in Stoic philosophy. And if you know someone who is struggling with fear, uncertainty, rejection, or self-doubt, share this video with them. Sometimes one idea can change the way a person sees their entire life. Perhaps this is yours. You cannot control everything that happens, but you can control the person you become. And that is where your freedom begins. And perhaps the most powerful transformation begins when you stop asking life to make you feel safe. For years, you may have believed that confidence would arrive after everything was finally in place. You thought you would become fearless after earning enough money, finding the right relationship, achieving success, gaining respect, or proving yourself to the people who doubted you. But the Stoics would challenge that idea. They would tell you that if your peace depends on circumstances becoming perfect, you have handed your peace to circumstances. Real strength begins when you can say, "Even if things do not go according to my plan, I will still choose how I respond." That sentence carries enormous power. Because suddenly, uncertainty is no longer a reason to freeze. You can move forward without knowing exactly what tomorrow will bring. You can make decisions without receiving guarantees. You can pursue something meaningful without knowing whether everyone will approve. You can love without demanding that another person stay forever. You can work hard without demanding immediate results. You can begin again without being ashamed of the fact that you had to start over. This is what inner freedom looks like. The world will always offer you reasons to be afraid. There will always be something you cannot predict. There will always be someone who misunderstands you. There will always be an opportunity that does not work out. There will always be a possibility of loss. If you make certainty the price of your peace, you will spend your entire life waiting. The Stoic refuses to wait. He acts with the information he has. He prepares as well as he can. He accepts the outcome. Then he continues. This is why you should stop demanding guarantees from life. Instead, develop principles. When you have principles, uncertainty becomes easier to navigate. You may not know what will happen, but you know how you intend to behave. If someone insults you, you will not surrender your dignity. If someone praises you, you will not become arrogant. If you succeed, you will remain disciplined. If you fail, you will learn. If you receive wealth, you will use it wisely. If you lose wealth, you will not allow the loss to destroy your character. If someone loves you, you will appreciate them. If someone leaves, you will grieve without abandoning yourself. If life gives you an easy road, you will walk it with gratitude. If life gives you a difficult road, you will walk it with courage. That is what it means to have an inner compass. You do not need to know exactly where every road leads. You need to know who you are while walking it. And there is another secret that can make you remarkably difficult to intimidate. Stop exaggerating the importance of other people's opinions. Think about how much of your life has been influenced by imaginary audiences. You wonder what people will think. You worry about whether they will approve. You hesitate because someone might laugh. You remain silent because someone might disagree. You refuse to begin because you are afraid of looking foolish. But ask yourself something. How much time do other people actually spend thinking about you? Most people are busy thinking about themselves. They are worried about their own problems, their own appearance, their own future, their own mistakes. Yet you may spend hours imagining their judgment. You are allowing an imaginary audience to control a real life. The Stoic steps away from this trap. He asks, "Is their opinion useful? If it is, listen. If there is truth in the criticism, learn from it. If there is wisdom in the feedback, improve. But if someone simply wants to diminish you, why give their words authority over your emotional state? You do not have to fight every critic. You do not have to answer every insult. You do not have to prove yourself to every person who misunderstands you. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response. Silence can be strength. Walking away can be strength. Continuing your work can be strength. Letting your results speak can be strength. You become incredibly difficult to control when you stop reacting to every provocation. People may try to make you angry. They may try to make you jealous. They may try to make you feel inadequate. They may try to pull you into arguments. But you can choose not to participate. Remember, someone can create a stimulus. They cannot automatically dictate your response. There is a space between what happens and what you do next. That space is where your freedom lives. Protect it. When something triggers you, pause before responding. When someone sends an angry message, do not immediately type back. When someone insults you, breathe. When you feel jealous, examine the feeling. When you feel afraid, identify the actual threat. When you feel overwhelmed, return to the next thing you can control. This pause is small, but it can change your entire life. Because a person who can pause can choose. And a person who can choose is difficult to manipulate. This is why emotional discipline is more powerful than emotional intensity. Anyone can react. Strength is choosing your reaction carefully. You may feel anger without becoming cruel. You may feel fear without becoming cowardly. You may feel sadness without becoming hopeless. You may feel desire without becoming desperate. You may feel excitement without becoming reckless. You may feel disappointment without becoming bitter. Your emotions are information. They are not always instructions. Learn the difference. Another powerful Stoic practice is learning to become comfortable with discomfort. Modern life constantly teaches us to escape discomfort. If something becomes difficult, quit. If silence becomes uncomfortable, reach for your phone. If you feel lonely, seek instant attention. If work becomes boring, distract yourself. If someone disagrees with you, argue. If you experience uncertainty, obsessively search for reassurance. But every time you automatically escape discomfort, you teach yourself that discomfort is unbearable. The Stoic practices something different. He sometimes chooses difficulty deliberately. He does the difficult task first. He sits in silence. He delays gratification. He exercises discipline when nobody is watching. He allows himself to experience temporary discomfort without immediately escaping. Why? Because discomfort is not always danger. Sometimes discomfort is growth wearing an unpleasant disguise. Think about physical training. Muscles become stronger when challenged. Your character can work the same way. When you practice patience, difficult people become training. When you practice discipline, temptation becomes training. When you practice courage, uncertainty becomes training. When you practice self-control, anger becomes training. When you practice acceptance, disappointment becomes training. Your life becomes a classroom. Every difficult moment gives you an opportunity to practice the person you claim you want to become. So the next time something goes wrong, instead of immediately asking, "How do I get rid of this?" ask, What virtue can I practice here? If someone is being difficult, practice patience. If you are tempted to quit, practice perseverance. If you are afraid to speak, practice courage. If you have been wrong, practice humility. If someone has wronged you, practice restraint. If you have received success, practice gratitude. This changes the way you see your entire life. You stop seeing every obstacle as an interruption. You start seeing obstacles as opportunities to strengthen your character. And slowly, something remarkable happens. The things that once frightened you become familiar. The difficult conversation becomes easier. The uncertainty becomes manageable. The rejection becomes survivable. The criticism becomes less threatening. The failure becomes educational. You are not becoming invincible. You are becoming resilient. And resilience is far more useful. Because invincibility is an illusion. Resilience is real. You will get hurt. You will make mistakes. You will lose. You will experience disappointment. But you can learn to recover. You can stand again. You can rebuild. You can continue. That is enough. Never underestimate the power of knowing that you can begin again. A person who knows how to begin again is extremely difficult to defeat. You may lose a position. Begin again. You may lose an opportunity. Begin again. You may lose someone's approval. Begin again. You may make a terrible mistake. Learn and begin again. You may have wasted years. Do not waste another day. Begin again. The past can explain you. It does not have to imprison you. The Stoic understands that yesterday is outside your control. You cannot go back and change the conversation. You cannot undo the mistake. You cannot recover the lost opportunity. You cannot erase the years. But you can decide what today means. And that is enough. There is enormous freedom in focusing on the present moment. Not the imaginary future. Not the unchangeable past. This moment. This breath. This decision. This action. What can you do now? That question can pull you out of an enormous amount of mental suffering. When your mind begins racing about the future, return to the present. When regret pulls you backward, return to the present. When fear tells you everything must be solved immediately, return to the present. Ask, what is required of me right now? Maybe the answer is to work. Maybe it is to rest. Maybe it is to apologize. Maybe it is to make a decision. Maybe it is simply to breathe and calm down. Do that. Then deal with the next moment when it arrives. You do not have to live tomorrow today. Tomorrow will arrive carrying its own responsibilities. Your job is to live today well. This is not passivity. It is focus. You cannot fight 10 battles at once and expect your mind to remain peaceful. Choose the battle in front of you. Fight it with discipline. Then move forward. Another Stoic secret is learning to stop fearing solitude. There are moments in life when you will have to walk alone. People will misunderstand your path. Friends may change. Relationships may end. Some people may not understand your goals. There may be seasons when you have fewer people around you than before. Do not automatically interpret solitude as failure. Sometimes solitude is where you finally hear yourself think. When you are constantly surrounded by noise, you may confuse other people's opinions with your own thoughts. Silence can reveal what you actually believe. Solitude can reveal what you actually want. And being alone can teach you something important. You should enjoy companionship without becoming dependent on it for your identity. A strong person can love people deeply without losing themselves. They can appreciate relationships without begging for attention. They can enjoy company without being terrified of solitude. They can walk alone without believing they are worthless. This creates emotional independence. And emotional independence is powerful. Because when you no longer desperately need someone to validate you, you can interact with people from a place of choice rather than fear. You can say yes because you genuinely want to. You can say no without feeling guilty. You can leave situations that violate your principles. You can love without clinging. You can care without controlling. You can disagree without hatred. This is maturity. And maturity makes you fearless. Not because you stop caring. Because you stop confusing caring with controlling. You can care about someone and still accept that they have their own choices. You can love someone and still understand that you cannot force them to stay. You can want something deeply and still accept that the outcome is uncertain. This is one of the hardest lessons in life. But it is also one of the most liberating. Desire without attachment to outcome. Give your best. Prepare. Work. Care. Try. But do not make your emotional survival dependent on a specific result. When you do this, you become more courageous. You take more meaningful risks. You speak more honestly. You pursue opportunities. You stop living cautiously just to avoid disappointment. You begin living according to values rather than fear. And that is the ultimate purpose of Stoicism. Not to make you passive. Not to make you indifferent. Not to make you stop caring about life. Stoicism teaches you to care about the right things. Your character. Your choices. Your actions. Your integrity. Your response. Your wisdom. Your courage. Your ability to serve others. Your ability to live according to your principles. These are the things worth protecting. Everything else can change. And because everything else can change, do not build your identity entirely upon it. If you build your identity on money, what happens when money disappears? If you build it on appearance, what happens when your appearance changes? If you build it on status, what happens when someone takes the status away? If you build it on popularity, what happens when people stop applauding? But if you build your identity on character, every difficulty becomes an opportunity to strengthen the foundation. That is why the Stoic can lose something without losing himself. His possessions may change. His circumstances may change. His social position may change. But his commitment to living wisely can remain. And that is freedom. So when fear comes tomorrow, remember what you learned today. You do not have to eliminate uncertainty. You have to become capable of living with it. You do not have to eliminate every difficult person. You have to become capable of maintaining your character around them. You do not have to eliminate failure. You have to become capable of learning from it. You do not have to eliminate rejection. You have to become capable of continuing after it. You do not have to eliminate fear. You have to become capable of acting while it is present. That is how a fearless person is created. Not overnight. Not through motivation alone. Through practice. Day after day. Choice after choice. Challenge after challenge. Until courage becomes familiar. Until discipline becomes natural. Until uncertainty becomes manageable. Until you trust yourself. And when you finally trust yourself, you realize something beautiful. You were never waiting for the world to become safe. You were waiting to discover that you could face it. So walk forward. Not because you know everything will work out. Walk forward because you know you will give your best regardless. Not because everyone will support you. Walk forward because you have learned to support yourself. Not because failure is impossible. Walk forward because failure cannot stop you from learning. Not because rejection cannot hurt. Walk forward because rejection cannot determine your worth. Not because fear will disappear. Walk forward because fear does not get the final word. Your values do. Your character does. Your courage does. Your choices do. And if you remember nothing else from this entire message, remember this. The goal is not to build a life where nothing scares you. The goal is to build a mind that refuses to be ruled by fear. That is the Stoic secret. And once you understand it, you stop waiting for permission to become strong. You begin. Today. Right where you are. With the next decision. The next action. The next moment. And if this message has helped you see fear differently, subscribe to the channel. Stay with us as we continue exploring Stoic philosophy, emotional discipline, self-mastery, courage, and the timeless wisdom that can help you build an unshakable mind. Because the strongest version of you is not somewhere far away. It is being built by what you choose to do right now. There is another level of fearlessness that the Stoics understood deeply. the ability to stop negotiating with your own weaknesses. You already know the difference between what you should do and what you want to do. You know when you are avoiding the difficult task. You know when you are making excuses. You know when you are staying somewhere because you are afraid to leave. You know when you are allowing someone else's opinion to control you. You know when you are procrastinating because beginning would force you to discover what you are truly capable of. The mind is incredibly skilled at creating convincing excuses. It says, "Tomorrow will be better." It says, "I will start when I feel motivated." It says, "I need more confidence first." It says, "What if I fail?" It says, "What will people think?" But the Stoic learns to recognize these thoughts without automatically obeying them. You do not need to feel ready. You need to be willing. Readiness often comes after action, not before it. Confidence often comes after keeping promises to yourself. Courage often appears after you take the first step. Discipline becomes stronger after you practice it. So stop waiting to feel like a different person. Start behaving like the person you want to become. If you want to become disciplined, practice discipline today. If you want to become courageous, do something uncomfortable today. If you want to become calm, practice responding slowly today. If you want to become wise, think before speaking today. If you want to become fearless, face something you have been avoiding today. Your identity follows your repeated actions. You become what you repeatedly practice. That means every day is an opportunity to vote for the person you want to become. When you choose courage, you cast a vote for courage. When you choose discipline, you cast a vote for discipline. When you choose patience, you cast a vote for patience. When you choose integrity, you cast a vote for integrity. And when you repeatedly choose these qualities, they become part of you. This is why the Stoic does not obsess over appearing strong. He focuses on becoming strong. There is a difference between performing strength and possessing it. Someone can speak loudly and still be controlled by fear. Someone can remain silent and possess tremendous courage. Someone can look confident and secretly depend on everyone's approval. Someone can appear ordinary and possess an incredibly disciplined mind. Do not confuse appearance with character. The world often rewards performance. Stoicism teaches substance. Build something inside yourself that does not need to be displayed. Build patience that nobody sees. Build discipline that nobody applauds. Build courage when nobody is watching. Build integrity when there is no reward. Build self-control when temptation is strong. This invisible work eventually becomes visible through the way you live. People may not know how many times you chose discipline over comfort. They may not know how many times you controlled your anger. They may not know how many times you wanted to quit but continued. They may not know how many times you chose silence instead of an unnecessary argument. They may not know how many times you rebuilt yourself after disappointment. And they do not need to know. Your transformation does not require an audience. The strongest foundations are often built underground. This is why you should become comfortable with making progress quietly. Not every goal needs to be announced. Not every plan needs public approval. Not every victory needs to be displayed. Sometimes the best thing you can do is disappear from the noise and work on yourself. Read, think, train, build, reflect, improve, then return stronger. There is enormous power in becoming less available to distraction. Your attention is one of your most valuable possessions. Where your attention goes, your life follows. If you spend hours consuming negativity, negativity begins shaping your worldview. If you constantly compare yourself with others, dissatisfaction grows. If you constantly watch other people's lives, you may neglect your own. If you constantly seek stimulation, silence becomes uncomfortable. If you constantly chase approval, authenticity becomes difficult. Guard your attention. The Stoic understood that the mind is influenced by what it repeatedly consumes. Be careful what you allow into your mental world. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every argument deserves your response. Not every opinion deserves consideration. Not every trend deserves participation. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. Not every thought deserves belief. This is a profound form of freedom. You can say, I choose what receives my attention. And once you understand this, you stop giving away pieces of your mind to every passing event. Someone posts something offensive. You do not have to react. Someone criticizes you. You do not have to obsess. Someone succeeds. You do not have to compare. Someone ignores you. You do not have to chase. Someone misunderstands you. You do not have to spend the entire day explaining yourself. You decide what deserves your energy. This is how you protect your peace. And protecting your peace does not mean avoiding every difficult situation. It means refusing to create unnecessary suffering inside situations that are already difficult. There is enough hardship in life. Do not add imaginary suffering to real challenges. If a problem exists, deal with the problem. Do not create 10 additional problems in your mind. Do not turn one rejection into the belief that nobody will ever love you. Do not turn one failure into the belief that you are incapable. Do not turn one criticism into the belief that you are worthless. Do not turn one bad day into the belief that your entire life is falling apart. Stay precise. This happened. That is all. Then ask what comes next. This ability to remain precise is one of the greatest weapons against fear. Fear exaggerates. Wisdom clarifies. Fear says, everything is going wrong. Wisdom asks, what specifically happened? Fear says, I cannot handle this. Wisdom asks, what exactly must I handle right now? Fear says, everyone will judge me. Wisdom asks, who specifically, and why does their opinion matter? Fear says, my life is over. Wisdom asks, what is actually lost, and what remains? This is how you bring your mind back to reality. And reality is often less frightening than the story your mind created around it. You should also learn to distinguish between discomfort and danger. This is extremely important. Not everything uncomfortable is harmful. Being rejected is uncomfortable. Starting a business is uncomfortable. Speaking publicly is uncomfortable. Having a difficult conversation is uncomfortable. Being alone can be uncomfortable. Changing your habits is uncomfortable. Working toward a long-term goal is uncomfortable. But discomfort is often the price of growth. If you interpret every uncomfortable feeling as a warning to stop, you will remain trapped inside your comfort zone. Your comfort zone can become a prison when you refuse to leave it. The Stoic does not worship comfort. He values capability. He wants to know, can I handle this? And every time the answer becomes yes, his confidence grows. This is why you should occasionally choose the harder path. Take the stairs. Wake up when you said you would. Finish the task you wanted to postpone. Put the phone away. Sit quietly. Exercise when motivation is absent. Have the conversation you have been avoiding. Say no when you know something is wrong for you. Do the work without waiting for applause. These small acts may appear insignificant. They are not. They are training your nervous system to learn that discomfort does not control you. And once you learn this, larger challenges become easier. You become less reactive, more deliberate, more stable, more confident, more difficult to manipulate. That is what self-mastery looks like. Self-mastery is not controlling every external event. It is becoming increasingly capable of governing yourself, your thoughts, your words, your impulses, your attention, your habits, your reactions, your choices. This is a lifelong process. You will still make mistakes. You will still lose your temper sometimes. You will still procrastinate. You will still experience fear. Do not use perfection as the standard. Use direction. Are you becoming better? Are you becoming more disciplined? Are you becoming more patient? Are you becoming more courageous? Are you becoming less dependent on approval? Are you becoming better at recovering from setbacks? If yes, keep going. Progress does not require perfection. The Stoic path is not about becoming a flawless human being. It is about becoming a more intentional one. And intentional living requires awareness. Pay attention to yourself. Notice what triggers you. Notice what makes you anxious. Notice where you seek approval. Notice what you avoid. Notice where you lose discipline. Notice the situations where you repeatedly make the same mistake. Your patterns reveal where your training is needed. If criticism destroys your confidence, practice separating useful information from personal attacks. If rejection terrifies you, practice remembering that another person's decision does not define your worth. If uncertainty makes you anxious, practice focusing on what you can control. If failure makes you want to quit, practice viewing failure as information. If loneliness makes you desperate for attention, practice becoming comfortable with your own company. Your weaknesses are not reasons to hate yourself. They are places where you need training. Treat yourself like someone you are responsible for developing. Be honest. Be patient. But do not make excuses. There is a difference between self-compassion and self-indulgence. Self-compassion says, "I made a mistake. I will learn." Self-indulgence says, "I made a mistake, so I don't need to change." The Stoic chooses the first. He accepts himself without refusing to improve. He recognizes his imperfections without making them permanent. He understands that you can forgive yourself and still demand better from yourself. That is real self-respect. And self-respect is another foundation of fearlessness. When you respect yourself, you become less desperate for external validation. You no longer need everyone to understand your choices. You no longer need to convince people that you are worthy. You begin living according to your own principles. But remember, self-respect is not arrogance. You can respect yourself while remaining humble. You can know your worth without believing you are better than everyone else. You can be confident without being contemptuous. You can disagree without insulting. You can succeed without humiliating those who failed. This balance is important. The Stoic does not seek superiority. He seeks mastery over himself. The person who defeats others may still be controlled by anger. The person who dominates others may still be controlled by insecurity. The person who impresses everyone may still be controlled by approval. The greatest victory is not over another person. It is over the part of yourself that constantly wants to be controlled by impulse. Imagine being able to hear an insult and remain calm. Imagine being able to receive praise without becoming addicted to it. Imagine being able to experience rejection without begging. Imagine being able to lose without collapsing. Imagine being able to win without becoming arrogant. That is emotional freedom. And emotional freedom makes you fearless. Because when you are not easily manipulated through your emotions, people have less power over you. This does not mean becoming suspicious of everyone. It means becoming responsible for your own emotional responses. You can trust people while maintaining boundaries. You can love people without surrendering your identity. You can cooperate without becoming dependent. You can forgive without returning to harmful situations. You can be kind without becoming weak. This is another Stoic lesson worth remembering. Kindness and strength are not opposites. A person can be gentle and still have boundaries. A person can be compassionate and still say no. A person can forgive and still walk away. A person can love and still protect their dignity. Fear often tells you that if you stop controlling people, you will lose them. Wisdom tells you that people are not possessions. Let people reveal themselves. Let actions speak. You do not need to chase every relationship. You do not need to force every connection. You do not need to convince someone to value you. Give people the freedom to choose. Then observe their choices. This is another form of Stoic fearlessness. You stop trying to control what people feel. You focus on what you can offer. Respect. Honesty. Consistency. Kindness. Boundaries. Then you accept the response. This makes relationships healthier because you are no longer trying to control the outcome. You are participating rather than manipulating. And that same principle applies to your ambitions. Give your best effort. But stop obsessing over immediate results. You plant the seed. You water it. You protect it. You give it time. You cannot command the fruit to appear tomorrow. The same is true of your life. You can work hard and still experience delays. You can prepare and still encounter unexpected problems. You can make good decisions and still experience setbacks. That does not mean your effort was wasted. Sometimes the result is delayed. Sometimes the lesson is the result. Sometimes the experience builds a skill you will need later. Sometimes the closed door redirects you. You do not always understand the value of an event while you are living through it. That is why patience matters. You are not required to understand everything immediately. You are required to respond wisely. And sometimes wisdom looks like waiting. Not passive waiting. Intentional waiting. Preparing while you wait. Learning while you wait. Strengthening yourself while you wait. Then when the opportunity arrives, you are ready. Fear often makes people rush. Wisdom knows when to move and when to wait. The fearless person is not necessarily the fastest person. He is the person who can remain steady enough to choose correctly. So slow down. You do not have to answer immediately. You do not have to decide immediately. You do not have to react immediately. Give yourself space. A calm mind sees options that a frightened mind cannot see. This is why Stoic reflection is so powerful. At the end of the day, ask yourself, where did I act with courage? Where did fear control me? Where did I lose my temper? Where did I remain calm? What could I have done better? What am I grateful for? What will I practice tomorrow? This simple reflection turns experience into wisdom. Without reflection, you may repeat the same mistakes. With reflection, yesterday becomes a teacher. And every evening becomes an opportunity to sharpen yourself. Do not judge yourself with hatred. Examine yourself with honesty. You are not conducting a trial. You are conducting training. The goal is improvement. And if you practice this consistently, you may eventually notice something surprising. Your biggest fears were often connected to one thing: your belief that you would not be able to handle what happened next. But once you develop self-trust, the fear changes. You realize, I may not know what will happen, but I know I can respond. I may not know whether this will succeed, but I know I can give my best. I may not know whether they will stay, but I know I will not abandon myself. I may not know whether tomorrow will be easy, but I know I can face tomorrow when it arrives. That is confidence, not certainty. Self-trust. And that is why Stoic philosophy remains so powerful. It does not promise you a world without difficulty. It teaches you how to become the kind of person who can meet difficulty without surrendering your soul. So if you are afraid right now, take a breath. Do not shame yourself for feeling fear. Ask what it is trying to tell you. Then separate the signal from the story. What is real? What is imagined? What is within your control? What is outside it? What action is required? What can be released? Then act. One step. One decision. One conversation. One disciplined choice. You do not need to conquer your entire life today. You only need to conquer the next moment. And then the next. That is how mountains are climbed. Not in one leap. One step at a time. So go into your day with this thought. I will not demand that life be easy. I will demand that I become stronger. I will not demand that everyone understand me. I will understand my principles. I will not demand that fear disappear. I will learn to act with courage. I will not demand that failure never happen. I will learn from failure. I will not demand that people remain forever. I will appreciate them while they are here. I will not demand certainty. I will cultivate wisdom. I will not chase control over the world. I will master what belongs to me. My mind. My choices. My actions. My character. And that is enough. Because once you understand what belongs to you, you stop wasting your life fighting for what never did. You become lighter, calmer, stronger, and freer. If you are ready to continue this journey towards self-mastery, subscribe to the channel and become part of this growing community. Every video is another opportunity to train your mind, strengthen your character, and discover ancient wisdom that still applies to modern life.